Development Manager here at First National. And on behalf of everybody here at the bank, thank you for joining us today for what we hope you will find to be some valuable information. Our hosts today are First National cash management experts, Tammy Stewart and Cecil Kokum. Tammy, would you like to say a brief hello and tell our guests about yourself?
Thanks, Louis. Good morning, everybody, and thanks for joining our webinar today. My name is Tammy Stewart. I'm a Senior Business Development Officer here at First National. Been here for a little over 3 years, been in banking for about 24 years. And then, just really enjoy building those relationships with our customers and just really enjoy looking forward to this webinar today. Cecil, how about you?
Good morning, everyone. And thank you, Tammy, for the handoff. Happy to be here today on this wonderful, beautiful, sunshiny Wednesday. Cecil Kokum, First National Bank Alaska Cash Management Services. Been at First National going on 18 years, a total banking experience about 26 years. I look forward to giving you some valuable information today, and hopefully that you take away some good information, and always excited and happy to be here to serve our local Alaskans. Thank you. Louis?
Thank you, Tammy and Cecil, for being here today. First National is now in our 100th year of doing business right here in Alaska. And one of the things that we continue to pride ourselves on is offering our communities value-added content on various topics. And that's the very reason that we created this Workshop Wednesdays webinar series as an opportunity to engage with you and hopefully find some ways to make your life a little more convenient and offer you a better banking experience. I think saving time and money is always high on people's priority lists. And right now, fraud is a major concern. And so we felt that the subject matter for today's webinar was particularly relevant to do. Just a few brief things before we start. In order to avoid any distractions, we have muted everyone's microphones and we've also turned off your videos. However, we do want today to be interactive and we do want to be able to answer any questions that you may have. And so on your screen, you should see a little Q&A icon. If at any point during the webinar you have a question, click that icon, type your question in. We'll have a few live question and answer sessions there and we'll be able to answer those questions. We hope to have the time to answer everyone's questions. If we don't, we will have a transcript of those. And Tammy or Cecil will reach out to you directly after the webinar. So with that, let's start things off. Cecil, if you will just first start by telling us what exactly is cash management and what does that mean to a business customer?
Thank you, Louis. That's a very good question. One we always field from our clients is what exactly is cash management? And cash management, also known as treasury management, is the process that involves collecting, managing, and monitoring, as well as dispersing of funds from the operating, investing, and financial activities of a company. The cash management process, when enhanced with a digital solution, create effectiveness and efficiencies such as saving time, money, and protecting your accounts with the fraud preventative tools. Here at First National, we have a dedicated team of local cash management experts willing and able to serve our Alaskan community. We have been working at making Alaska Dreams Go for nearly 10 decades, and we continue to look forward to doing so and teaching you those tools on how to utilize your funds, collecting the funds, how to monitor and use the funds, and how to disperse the funds. Thank you, Louis. Tammy, do you have anything else you want to add to that?
Nope, you're doing great.
Thank you, Cecil. Tammy, would you like to tell us a little bit about the various topics that you and Cecil plan to cover today?
Thank you, Louis. I would love to. So today we're going to cover the following topics: positive pay, which is a fraud prevention tool. And then that question that we always get sometimes is, what is the difference between ACH versus check? So we're going to talk about ACH versus check. And then also another fraud prevention tool we're going to discuss today is ACH Fraud Prevention. Louis?
Great. Thank you, Tammy. As we all know, the COVID-19 pandemic has had a profound impact on all of us. And that also includes the way in which folks do their banking, in particular, the way in which our businesses do their banking. Cecil, would you like to tell us a little bit about some of the trends that you're seeing today about how the pandemic has impacted the way in which people do banking?
Definitely, Louis. With the onset of the pandemic, it brought many and various challenges to our clients. If there was an instance or an incident, we took precautions here at the bank. These had great impact on our customers. In some instances, branch lobbies had to be closed temporarily to allow us to make mitigative measures. This impacted our customers. There were timeframes and deadlines and payments that still had to be met by our customers. When we did reopen, we were open on a restricted basis on those lobbies, and appointments had to be made to accommodate those customer needs. Not only that, but it created a long line at the drive up, as well as lack of resource with employees, as the pandemic had a great impact on us. So what happened with digital solutions and digital advancement played with our clients was we saw some of those clients that were ready and willing and able and had already engaged and implemented digital solutions were continuing to utilize those solutions effectively. It caused very minimal impact on their business and conducting business as such. Some advancements that we've seen in digital solutions and advancements is the onset or the utilization of mobile capture on the consumer side as well as the business side. We saw customers were more apt to adapt this technology to start doing deposits and not relying on going to a brick and mortar location. For larger clients, we have remote deposit capture, which is a scanning device which allows the client to utilize from their offices. This is for larger dollar amounts, larger quantity of checks. We also saw an uptick in the increase of our website. So our website was heavy traffic. We made sure that it continued to remain open almost 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. With that, we also saw where clients were utilizing and wanted to start to implement the utilization of e-payments, incoming and outgoing ACH items. And we did so all from a secure. We also created the efficiencies of saving time and an increase in cash flow, and clients had the ability to utilize those digital solutions in making sure they continue to operate effectively. Louis?
Thank you, Cecil. Tammy, one of the services that you mentioned you would be discussing today is Positive Pay. Please tell our guests a little bit about what Positive Pay is and how that helps a business prevent fraud.
Thanks, Louis. I'm happy to. So what is Positive Pay? So I'm kind of going to go through the what and the how for everybody. So Positive Pay is an automated fraud detection tool offered by us here in cash management or the Treasury Department of most banks. In its simplest form, it is the service that matches an account number, the check number, a dollar amount, and the payee's name of a check that's presented for payment against a list that was previously sent to us from the issued company. So all four of those components of the check must match exactly, or it will be an exception item. So how does it work? Positive Pay requires the company to upload a file of issued checks to the bank portal each day checks are written. When issued checks are presented for payment at the bank, they are matched electronically against that list of transmitted checks that you sent us. So the check issue file that was uploaded to the bank contains that check number, account number, issue date, the payee, and the dollar amount. So when those checks are presented for payment, if all that information doesn't match exactly, you receive an exception item. So the bank will then send notifications of those exception items to our clients who are authorized Positive Pay users of the company. And those users will then log into the portal to review those exceptions and instruct the bank to either pay or return that item, or they can report it as a fraudulent item via the portal. So Positive Pay does help businesses save time and money. There is generally a fee charged by the banks who offer Positive Pay. And so by monitoring your accounts and implementing Positive Pay, you will save time and money. Some consider that fee an insurance premium to help avoid check and fraud loss and liability. So some of the frauds that we're seeing, are cashier checks, because you can have any type of written cashier's check from other banks that we've seen, not just First National. Checks. So of course, checks can be altered. So we have that explicit. So when you add the payee name to your check, we also monitor that. And so if someone were to come to the teller line and say, and want to try to cash a check, that teller would then look up the list that you provided to us, make sure it matches. And if not, they're able to turn that person away. If it is a good item and maybe the item was just forgot to be uploaded into the positive pay system, we just call the company to make sure it's verified and a valid item, and then we pay that item for the customer. One other thing I want to also bring up too is the check washing. Ink, toner, the pens that people use to write their checks is so important. You have to have a specific type of toner to use on your inkjet printers when you do use positive pay, because that way the items can't be washed. So a little example is acetone, that fingernail polish remover that us ladies use, that washes away check items if you're not using the correct ink. So any item can be altered. Then the positive pay system will then catch that, and you've now avoided fraud. So another thing I want to bring up also is a recent survey that was done by JP Morgan and the Association of Financial Professionals. Survey showed that 66% of attempted fraud was by check. 39% of that was by wire, 34% by ACH debit, so people taking money out of an account, 24% by commercial cards, 19% by ACH credit, so money going into an account, and then 6% was due to ransomware. So with the percentage of checks being high today, positive pay is a digital solution businesses need to help mitigate the risk of check fraud. Louis, back to you.
Thank you, Tammy. And a quick reminder to the folks, if you do have any questions about positive pay, click that little Q&A icon and type those in. Before we get there though, Cecil, if you'll just tell folks, how does one sign up for positive pay?
That's a great question, Louis. Thank you for that question. It is important to understand the process. The positive pay implementation process starts with a conversation with your cash management specialist. It's always good to converse with your cash management specialist or your banker to discuss what options are available to you and what does that process look like. Find out from your cash management specialist, be candid with them, ask them about trends, what they're seeing in the industry. The importance of protecting your accounts and funds. It's very important that you take steps to mitigate and put fraud preventative tools in place. We will walk you through a step-by-step and some of the best practices on how and the ease of adding this tool to your toolbox of digital solutions. Your strategy in implementing and what you need to do is get with your banker, talk about the onboarding process. What is that going to look like? What is grabbing the data from the onset looks like? That conversation typically involves some technical aspects that gets into the weeds of things where your cash management specialist can guide you through that process. The next step from there, we will talk about implementation. What happens once we've got the data collected and how we implement that with the interface within the bank's portal, as Tammy said. We connect you with our tech support unit fellows, gurus, and they'll walk you through a step-by-step on how to utilize the application or the solution. Once that process is complete, we then follow up with a post-implementation of the solution. Make sure that you're doing the best practices. Be sure that you have any other, if you have any other questions or concerns, we address those with you. And what does that look like for you, and some of implementing some changes that you may need to do internally within your institute or within your entity or your organization. Most times it comes down to training employees and getting the employees knowledgeable on what to look for and how to implement things. Typically what we see there is that once we get you up and running and get you into the solution and have you use the solution effectively, it is for years of good practice, a preventative tool to keep you safe and secure. Back to you, Louis.
Thank you, Cecil. And we do have a few questions from our guests today. First question we have, can I upload a file from my accounting software?
I'll take that one, Cecil. Yes, you can. So most softwares have a module or an option to where you can pull the check issue file that you want to send to the bank from your actual accounting software. Sometimes it's called a check issue file, or sometimes the program actually calls it even a positive pay file. And our tech support gurus can also help with that as well to get that out of your accounting system. Or Cecil and I can help as well, or any other cash management officer. Louis?
Okay, next question we have here. Can I get a list of uncleared items?
Tabby, I'll go ahead and take that question. Within the portal and solution itself, there is the reporting tool and a way to filter the information to find what is uncleared, what is not yet a match within the system. So with the support, with our tech support unit, will walk you through the entire implementation process. They'll show you how to look at your reports, look at what has cleared, and look at what has not been cleared as yet. Our system is very effective with best practices and sound information on training. It's a very effective tool. So to answer the yes, we can show you how to get that information and data out of our positive pay solution. Louis?
Cecil, thank you. Next question we have, what happens after the check becomes outdated or expired?
Hi there. I'll take that one. So a stale date. So it's important to upload all those checks. So one thing I do want to note too, because it kind of goes with the stale dated items, is you're going to want to make sure that your system, your accounting system, has those in there with that certain date. And then so when they do go to clear, the system will match that up with that date and it'll still show as an exception. So even if the check is, 2 years old, as long as that item has been uploaded into the positive pay system, that will still be flagged as an exception when it comes to the bank to try to clear. I hope that answers your question.
Okay, thank you again for our guests for those great questions. We're going to move on to the next topic here. You mentioned previously about the impact that the COVID-19 pandemic had on business operations and the necessity for implementing some electronic banking services. Can you give an example of how this pandemic compares to a previous situation of worldwide or nationwide magnitude?
Certainly, Louis, I'll take that one. The pandemic was one thing, but the last time we saw something of significant that caused major change within the banking and financial institution and business operation was the 9/11 incident, the 9/11 disaster, where airplanes were grounded, checks were not being cleared, items, everything pretty much ceased. Business ceased for days, almost weeks. We recently here, not too long ago in Alaska, experienced something similar when we had that major earthquake or that big earthquake back in 2018, I believe it was, where our infrastructures were a bit fractured. We had to find ways to make things continue. And a lot of folks went into contingencies and implement those necessary contingencies plan. So the main thing what we could see here is that going back to 9/11 incident where everything came to cease at that point, Check 21 was born of this. And with Check 21, it became where items were not necessarily having to go through the Federal Reserve by actual physical items. It was implementation of creating image replacement items where they can present through the system electronically. So the checks became a digital product. It became a digital item that was clearing electronically through the Federal Reserve system. With 9/11 disaster, we saw that funds, everything had just ceased. There was nothing flying because the planes were not flying, checks were not being presented. With Check 21, what we do see is now that things do move a little bit faster, it's more expeditious, and things are now getting presented in a more effective manner. This definitely creates the ability to, with the onset of Check 21, with utilizing digital solution tools, that you can make those payments effectively without having to worry about any other disasters or anything else slowing down the process of continuing to do business and make your business continue to operate without any hindrances or obstructions. Louis?
Thank you, Cecil. Tammy, the second topic you mentioned that you'd be discussing today is using ACH as opposed to writing checks as a form of payments. Can you tell us about ACH, what it stands for, and how that differs from writing checks for payment processing?
Yes, thanks, Lou. I'd be happy to. So ACH, we talk about that a lot. We've already talked about it a lot this morning. And so what ACH is the automated clearinghouse. So the official explanation is it's an automated clearinghouse, or an automated clearinghouse. ACH is a customer or a computer-based electronic network for processing transactions, usually domestic, with low-value payments between participating financial institutions. So it helps support both credit transfers and debit transactions. The ACH system is designed to process batches of payments containing numerous transactions and charge fees low enough to encourage the use for the value of those payments. And then one of the main differences, which I'm going to also back up and say that ACH is also governed by the National Automated Clearinghouse Association. So our rules and regulations and how we need to process and returns, all those are governed by what we call in banking NACHA, because we love acronyms. So I also want to touch a little bit on, so the ACH versus check. So one of the main differences, of course, which is obvious, is one's electronic and one is paper. So the timing of check clearings versus an ACH can depend on a company's longevity with the bank. This is because depending on the dollar amount of the check, as well as how long you've been with a customer with the bank, certain checks can cause holds for up to 10 days. Where an ACH item clears on the day you specify within the file that you sent to the bank. So one other thing that makes ACH a little more enticing is versus check is the cost of it. So the expense of check stock is more expensive than ACH. This is because you have the cost of processing the payments for those averages payments when you use check is about $20 per item. So when taking consideration the entire process to print those checks, which would be check stock, the check run, locating signers, maybe you have some board members to track down, the mail time, the processing time at the receiving bank, and then not to mention, of course, the risk of those checks being stolen from an office, or in our current life right now is home offices. So Louis, back to you.
Thank you, Tammy. How about security? Specifically, how does that help a business prevent fraud?
Great question. Here, I'll go ahead and take this one. Security, we're talking about security of an ACH versus a check. There's key things to remember with an ACH payment when you have utilized a digital solution in sending your payments electronically. With ACH payments and outgoing funds, we're talking about the implementation or client. We discuss with our clients in detail why it's important to have dual control. Just like we do at the bank, we always have dual control. You want to have one person input your information and another approve the information prior to it going out. Citing your source, make sure that your information is accurate. Here at First National, we're always talking security first, and before we talk about how to make things effective and efficient. So with ACH outgoing payments, the funds do not leave your account without the proper authorization of dual control. Written authorization that you receive when you're setting up your recipients, whether it's an employee, whether you're paying a vendor, it's important to have written authorization in place. Strongly encouraged and recommended and suggested that if for any reason an employee or vendor needs to change their payment receiving account, that you do receive that information in paper or a signed documentation. And always cite that source. Go back to that source, make sure you get a verbal confirmation, make sure you authenticate it, because we have seen business email compromise, we've seen vendor payments, email compromise, and invoice compromise scams as well. With ACH payments, the security, as I mentioned earlier, you have dual control, but your payments are very secure because you're using a digital banking solution that implements a multi-factor authenticating security system. By that, I mean that you just don't log in and submit. There's other mechanisms and security procedures in place. ACH provides much better controls for accounting as well. You know exactly what date your payment is going to get there. You know when you're submitting it and when you can anticipate it coming out of your account. Unlike a check can take days. Like Tammy had said, sometimes there's holes, but it can take days to get to its destination. And then you've got to sit tight and wait for your recipient to clear that check and hopefully it doesn't get stolen in the mail. Or that the receiving institution or receiving organization has not lost your check in the process. One thing to keep in mind as well is that ACH clears before a check. So when ACH is received prior and it will clear the account prior to a check. Those are some of the things to keep in mind. I'd mentioned that the check does take time. You're also depending on not only the time you have to put a stamp on the envelope, put it in the mail system, getting to its recipient, making sure that it doesn't get stolen in that process. There's many other factors that comes into play. And not only that, but with going back to the ACH payment system, if your CFO, your CEO, your presidents, your accountant or controller needs notification if a payment's been submitted, we have within our portal, the solution will provide an email notification letting them know that the ACH item has been transmitted. They will have access to go in to look at the report, the generated report, to gather the information and make sure it's accurate if they are not a part of the approval process. There are some caveats, however, when it comes to any type of payment that you're issuing or utilizing. For example, if you have a return item on a generated ACH, it could be for many different reasons. Those reasons are usually generated from a report from our digital solution portal. If an account is closed, if a customer has closed an account or for whatever reason that account no longer exists, those payments are going to be returned to you. You get them back. It's the same if you're debiting the account. You're going to get a return notice and you've got to go track down the reason why that account is closed or that payment is returned. And that's really simple and easy with the assistance of our tech support. Once you have our solution, we can assist you in doing so. There's a great other details that come into play that can assist you in not only making it effective and efficient, but we can also show you some of the best practices in the industry, as well as what to look for to protect yourself and saving yourself time, keeping yourself secure, and saving yourself some money, and keeping your costs lower than continuing to do banking the traditional way. Too many solution tools out there that can assist you. Louis?
Thank you, Cecil. And at this time, we will take a few questions from our guests here. And just to pull that up, as a reminder, folks, feel free to click that Q&A box and type that in. We do have a question. What is the process for signing up for ACH with First National Bank Alaska?
I'll take that one. So to sign up for ACH, it's called, our solution is called OnePay. So you would just contact your local cash management professional, or even Cecil and I will direct it if you have one designated for you. And then we complete the documents. We kind of talk about what limits you might need. And I'll touch a little bit on that. So you tell us what your daily limit would be. So for example, because we don't want a company to ever be overexposed. So you want to be able to send ACH payments to vendors. So think about what is that dollar amount that you would need on any given day to make a payment to a vendor, or maybe multiple vendors. What would that dollar amount be? So then you tell us that dollar amount, say it's 50,000. We plug that 50,000 within the documentation, and then it's set on the back end within the system. So then if you go to make payments, of course, you would be also hopefully under dual control. So one person can create the file and then another person can approve and send it to the bank. And then you wouldn't be able to go over that 50,000. Now, a little side tip, little good to know is that, of course, if you do have the OnePay solution to originate ACH items and you do go over your designated limit within the system, you can always call us and do a temporary increase for that morning. And then it'll revert back the next day or the day you specify to the current dollar amount that you have in the system, like the 50,000. So I hope that answers your question.
Thanks, Tammy. So let's continue chatting about fraud prevention. And one question that we get a lot from folks: what are some steps that a business owner can take in order to prevent fraud that does not require signing up for a banking service?
Tammy, I'll go ahead and take that. Louis, one of the key things to do to mitigate fraud within your organization is key, and always number one is train your employees. Train your employees to not fall victims for those scam emails. That's where majority of fraud, wire transfer fraud, ACH fraud, and business enterprise fraud starts. Is employees needs to be trained on when to open an email, not answer that phone call if someone is soliciting business. Keep your information secure. Don't put your payment checks in the mail and throw them on your front counter and leave them there where anyone can walk in and steal that information. Practice to keep your information as secure as possible. In some instances, it may be difficult to do. We understand this, but we could definitely get with a banker, talk about all the things that we can assist with that may not necessarily need a banking solution. It's simple things that can keep you safe. If you're putting your mail out in front of your businesses or in front of your front desk and you don't have a front desk person to see when that mail person comes in, you might want to rethink that. I've been with clients where their mail is downstairs and their offices are upstairs. Pointed out to them that they have no idea who's coming in and out, and their checks can be stolen fairly easy. I actually walked up with a handful of items and said, "Here, I could have easily walked out with your payments that you're sending out." Utilize the business electronic solution. If you don't want to do so, find some other mechanism to make those payments effective. Best practice always security. Check your accounts regularly. Check your accounts at First National. Our online is completely free. There is no charge to utilize our service there. Hopefully, I answered that question, Louis. Back to you.
Thank you, Cecil. And Tammy, do you have anything to add on that topic as well?
Yes, Louis, I would love to. So Cecil kind of brought up a little bit earlier about the source of a document. So I kind of want to touch on the importance of document sources. So it's really important to know who you do business with, right? And so think of the document's origin. Are they a new business? Are they based out of state? Is the information that's being sent to you accurate? I want to stress the importance of document origins because we see a lot of fraudulent email requests for wire transfers. For example, you may receive an email from an employee or a vendor that is asking you to change their bank and routing number. Is it really who they say they are that's sending that request? So and then just like what Cecil had mentioned earlier for the email compromise and or change requests via phone or email, that's a daily occurrence. So it's important to really know and confirm those change requests from to make sure it's who they say they are. And then we had we even had an experience this month of an email takeover, and of course it was rectified, but it was a close call for that customer. He thought it was something was being sent from one of his vendors, and it wasn't. It was somebody that actually got into his email somehow. So it's just really important to know, remember, are they who they say they are? Is it really that person sending that email? So Cecil had mentioned earlier, the fake invoices, the wire transfer requests via email. So I kind of want to refer back to our wonderful Mike Mason, his recent cyber webinar. So, which of course, he touches on quite a bit within the email fraud. And so if you missed that, you can find that recording and all of our past webinars, including the one today, located on our website at fnbalaska.com/webinar. And then, of course, I always want to say it's always safe. It's better safe to be sorry. Prevention is the cure. After nearly a century in business, we continue to add more digital solutions to your toolbox of options to help your business run efficiently, securely, and to help save you money. Louis?
Thank you both, Tammy and Cecil, for information on that. Good information, and it's nice to know that there are different ways in which to prevent fraud that don't require specific banking services. Tammy, earlier you discussed another topic that you would be chatting about today, and that is how to prevent fraud when it comes to sending and receiving money electronically. If you could touch on that as well, please.
I'd be happy to. Thanks, Louis. So one of the other solutions that we want to talk about today is ACH Fraud Prevention. So we offer an ACH fraud prevention to prevent ACH debit fraud. So I know sometimes in the accounting world, which was the first part of my life in accounting, was that the credits and debits are opposite. So debit is when you're actually taking money from another bank at another institution and bring it into your account at First National. And then credit, of course, is paying out, like, say, an employee direct deposit for payroll or paying a vendor. So what the ACH fraud prevention does is assist with unauthorized debit payments. So is somebody trying to take money from your account that isn't authorized? So what ACH Fraud Prevention does is help you monitor those unauthorized debit transactions. And so because a criminal, all they need is your account number and your routing number, and they can try to pay their cell phone bill, their credit card bill, sign up for social media subscriptions, etc. So implementing that solution can help the detection and fraud prevention of unauthorized debits from any business account. And then I want to say it happens to all sizes. So it's not always when, it's not when, it's if. So all criminals need is, like I said, is your bank and routing number from the bottom of your check. So please know that knowledge is power. It is important to know that businesses only have 24 hours to dispute an ACH item, where consumers like you and I have up to 60 days from your most recent statement date. So it's important to point out the banks only have so long to return a check or an ACH item. So it's really important to monitor your account each morning and to implement our fraud prevention tools. Louis?
Great. Thank you, Tammy. And once again, the enrollment process. What is the process for signing up for ACH fraud prevention?
Once again, Louis, just like positive pay, the implementation and signing up for the process starts with a conversation with your banker. Don't be a victim before you put a preventative tool. Put the preventative tool before being a victim. Make sure that you're protecting yourself. That process starts with a conversation with your banker. Your banker, if you're at a branch level, if you're at the branch, have the conversation there. They'll get you connected with your cash management specialist. Your cash management specialist has the ability and is completely has the expertise and training on how to guide you through the process. We're having that conversation with you on several different levels. One, we want to understand your day-to-day business, what it's like in a day in the life of our clients. What is your process? What does that payment process look like to you? We lay out the expectations of how to implement best practices and what we need to do to get you protected. Your conversation should involve, again, just like positive pay, what are the trends? What we're seeing, and we're happy to share that information with you, what we're seeing in the industry, what we're seeing and we have knowledge of. We talk about what it will look like on your employee level, as well as the management level, the administrative level of who needs to be in dual control process at all times. It's very important that we have dual control. You're not only protecting yourself from external fraud, but you also need to protect yourself internally. Yeah. So the onboarding process starts at the conversation with your banker, with your cash management specialist, the day-to-day, your transactions, what it looks like, what needs to be in place. As you implement ACH fraud prevention tool, you're adding an additional layer of security, not only to your front door, but to the back door of your business. You must protect all points of intrusion by utilizing this tool. Adding your vendors to this, and these are vendors that you have authorized to debit your account. You want to make sure that you add those vendors to your list. We will walk you through the step-by-step our process of getting you onboarded and implemented with our tech support comes into play again, and we'll walk you through the process of how to add these authorized vendors to what we call an approved list. Anything that's not on that approved list, that's an unauthorized, let me say that again, an authorized ACH item will be rejected. You must take action on the items that the system alerts you on. If you don't take any action on there, it will be returned as do not pay. There is an approval process in place, and we definitely guide you through who gets to do that approval process. Do you want the same person that's doing your approval list to be the approver? So we talk about dual control again. And keep in mind that only the authorized folks on your approval list can be paid without a return item. If this is a fraudulent unauthorized ACH item, it will be returned, and you have the ability to say, to block that user from ever coming in again, that merchant ID from ever coming in again to try to debit your account. Just like Positive Pay, ACH Fraud Prevention is an interactive tool. It does take action on your end. You must be involved in the process. We've talked about earlier where we recommend that you do daily online activity by just checking your account, looking at your account, look at the transactions that are there. If you, for any reason, as you have implemented ACH Fraud Prevention and you're online, you're doing what's necessary, you're taking great measures to protect yourself. I just want to reiterate that if for any reason you don't take action on the items that are being alerted to by the system, the default that's set within an ACH item is to return. If your vendor is legitimate, they'll totally understand and they will be on board with you to go ahead and resubmit their payment or debit to your account. If it's an illegitimate or illegal activity that's trying to attempt, they're not going to try to present it again. So you're protecting yourself in that aspect. You know, we've talked about several different solutions here today, Louis. There's a lot more to talk about out there that we could definitely discuss with our clients. We'll be happy to take time with our clients, sit down one-on-one. We have 7 cash management experts in our unit. I'll be happy to sit down and discuss some of the solutions that we have that we can better improve our clients' experience with digital solutions, experience and teach them effectiveness, trends, educate them on some of the things we see in the industry, as well as share what we learn. Not only do we learn from other clients, but we learn from other industry experts as well. We want to add tools to your toolbox. We are always looking to keep our clients safe, secure, save them time, save them money. I don't believe that there's much more to ACH Positive Pay that we could talk about. ACH Fraud Prevention we could talk about. It's best if you want a tutorial, you want to look at a demo, we have those available as well. Please do feel free to reach out to us. You could talk to your banker, talk to your cash management specialist. If you don't know your cash management specialist, just talk to your banker. They'll connect you with a cash management specialist. Louis?
Thank you, Cecil. We do have a few questions from our audience, so we will field those here. First question we have, can I upload my previous approved list?
I'll take that one. Yes, you can. You can actually upload the list as many times as you need to in case you forgot. There's no charge for uploading a file to the system at all. And that just ensures that you have have all your checks within the system. Now, sometimes I know some accounting systems won't allow you to pull data from their accounting software. It'll think of it as a duplicate. So if you have any of those issues at all, just kind of let us know and we'll kind of get in touch with our tech support. And then also your tech support will also have to assist as well. So I hope that answers your question.
If I could add to that, Louis, as well. We didn't want to go into too much in depth on how the tool actually does work because it's quite details. But not only can you, like Tammy just said, can you import your vendor, your approved list into the vendor approved list, but you also have the ability to create filters within the system that can say, I want XYZ company to debit me for 24 months only. After that, they're not allowed to. So there's many other filters and tools you could put in place that can assist you, because we live busy lives. We tend to forget to do things because we have so many things happening. You know, here in Alaska, it's summertime. That means fishing season. That means you want to be out in the sun, and you want to know that, have a peace of mind that the tools you put in place are going to protect you while you're out enjoying the very little summer that we get, and enjoying bringing in some of those fish as they come through the river. Back to you, Louis.
Thanks, Cecil. Yeah, let's get out and play a little bit. Next question we have from the audience. Can I approve the transaction through the email notification?
Hi, sorry about that. I was on mute. Yes, you can. You don't actually have to sign into the system to approve an item. Cecil, do you have anything to add to that?
No, Tammy, that one is pretty straightforward. You nailed it.
And next question we have here, why can't I approve the transaction when they are in presentment?
That's a great question, Louis. That's one of the best questions today so far. So just like positive pay, ACH Fraud Prevention, the item must actually hit the account in order for the system to capture what we consider the merchant ID. And the merchant ID is what the system is actually recognizing. And until it actually posts within the bank system, we're not able to capture that information. And I say that because you have, for instance, some insurance companies and some other vendors will have multiple IDs. And so you want it to hit, you have 24 hours to take action on it once it hits the system. Once that ID has been identified and we could produce it because we know it's actually going to post and it has posted, you now have the ability to come in and return the item. As long as you take that action within the time frame of the actual posted items, you are okay, and return it at that time, you get the exception notice. There is no way to capture the merchant ID upon presentment. And anything in presentment, keep in mind, even for basic online, anything in today's transaction or presentments has the possibility of changing for whatever errors that may have been that may have occurred while it's presenting. Sometimes we see that items, merchants will duplicate a charge, or you'll have a check item look twice in presentment items for the day, and then they fall off. So we have to make sure the actual items do post as well. Thanks, Louis.
Thank you, Cecil. We actually have a couple questions that came in going back to the positive pay section here. So one question we have, what is the time frame for the last upload?
Time frame, I'll take that one. Thanks, Louis. It's a good question. So the time frame for the last upload, I believe we do 2 or 3 uploads in a day. Cecil, correct me if I'm wrong. So we do a morning upload and an afternoon upload. The deadline to send or to decision positive pay items, whether it be by check positive pay or by ACH positive pay or fraud prevention, is noon Alaska time. So you'll want to, no matter what exception you may receive, you're going to want to make that decision by noon Alaska time. Good question.
Thank you, Tammy. And one more question related to positive pay here. Can I do a one-off entry?
Tammy, let me take that one. One of the best things about our positive pay solution is you don't necessarily have to import a file every time. We discuss this in detail with our customers as well. Hey, hey, Cecil or Tammy, I write checks on my way out the door. Sometimes I don't have time to import the file or do a check, print a check off. I just handwrite it. Well, you have the ability to just log into the system and you can manually enter in the information. It's not a lot of data fields that we ask for. We ask for literally 4 data fields. We ask for, just to be a little more specific, we ask for the check account number. We ask for the date. We ask for the amount and the payee's name. 4 fields. That's all it takes, literally less than 2 minutes. You put it in, you submit it, and it hits the system. It's a live system. The minute it hits there, you hand that check off, that individual can run down to a branch within the next 10 minutes to cash it. And if it's within the system and it clears, you're good to go. However, if it's not there, they're going to be questioned at the branch, and you may be receiving a call, or your office may be receiving a call as to why this item is presented, or is it a legitimate item. We do take great pride in making sure that we're covering our customers to the best of our abilities with the systems we have in place. So the answer is yes, you have the ability to input the one-off items as they come in. Louis?
Thank you, Cecil. That wraps up the questions that we have from our guests today. So Tammy, Cecil, I'll turn it to you. Are there any other topics that you'd like to discuss today? Any other best practices you'd like to give when it comes to saving time, saving money, and preventing fraud?
Thanks, Louis. I'll take that first one. I just kind of want to send out a nice reminder to everyone. First, thank you so much for joining today. It was quite the pleasure. First webinar for me, so it was very fun and not nearly as nervous as I thought I would be. And then, but yes, please, if you ever have any questions about cash management or treasury management, feel free to call your local branch. They'll put you in touch with us. Or if you already have our contact information, you'll definitely want to get in touch with one of your cash management specialists for a consultation. We'd be happy to discuss all of our options. Do kind of like a financial check update or a financial check-in. It's kind of what I call it. So, and then we are here to help you learn more about these time-saving digital solutions when you're ready. Cecil, do you have anything to add?
No, Tammy, I think you hit it right on the head. The number one thing is, please don't be afraid to have a conversation with your banker. We were here, we serve the same community you serve in. We're Alaskan, local Alaskan company, bank. We want to continue to grow Alaska dreams. We want to be there for Alaskan citizens. And we understand that we're no longer in just a national or an Alaskan economy, we're in a global economy. And fraud comes from every angle. There's many other solutions we didn't discuss today for time constraints reasons. We'll be happy to sit, understand your business in great detail, and offer you sound solutions. That's what we're all about. Number one thing I think I like to end with, a recently retired security officer, Don Crone, always did presentation on fraud, and he had the greatest line I thought ever. He always said, protect your assets. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Please do keep that in mind. Protect your assets, protect yourself. You've worked hard for your money to keep your business going, and do everything that's necessary. Find out what it's going to take to keep you safe, secure, save yourself time, save yourself money, lower your costs. And as always, just be safe in general. Thanks, Louis and Tammy. I had fun today too. It was for a wonderful sunny Wednesday. It was a great experience. Thank you.
And those were great words of wisdom to exit on. One more time, Tammy, Cecil, thank you for being our host today. Thank you to each of our guests for joining us. Thank you for your very thoughtful questions. Again, feel free to reach out to your banker if you have additional questions, if you'd like to take some time to chat. As Tammy referenced earlier, a recording of this webinar will be recorded on the same webpage on which you registered for this. If you'd like to go back and have a refresher on anything, it's www.fnbalaska.com/webinar. And that is also where you go to sign up and register for our future webinars. Our next webinar is scheduled for Wednesday, June 23rd at 10 a.m. And that webinar will be digital tools to enhance your personal banking experience. A few of our personal banking experts will be discussing many of the same topics that we discussed today, and that is ways in which to save time, save money, and prevent fraud. And this will be on a personal banking level. And so one more time, fnbalaska.com/webinar to get more information on that. So one more time, thank you to everybody for joining us today, and take care.